My name's Megan. I'm 27, from Columbus, Ohio. If you saw me today, you'd think I'm just another woman trying to hold life together. A daughter, a mother, someone paying bills and pretending everything's fine. But the truth is, most of my life has been about surviving what nobody ever talks about. I grew up between two worlds. My mom loved camping, bonfires, road trips. My dad loved the lake and long summer days. They divorced when I was 2, but I never thought of it as sad. It was just normal. 2 homes, 2 versions of love. I was a happy kid on the outside. I smiled in every picture, brought home good grades, won swim trophies. The adults around me said, "You're so strong." What they didn't see was how early I learned to hide things that no child should have to carry. By the time I was 9, I had already lost my sense of safety. I didn't know the right words for what was happening. I just knew I didn't feel safe, even at home. I stopped trusting hugs. I stopped believing that grown-ups always protected you. Swimming became my escape. The water didn't ask questions. It didn't hurt. It didn't lie. I'd dive under and hold my breath as long as I could, pretending I could live there forever. When I won, the pool had been my only safe place. Now it was gone. And when you lose the thing that keeps you breathing, you start searching for anything that makes you feel alive again. That's when my patterns started. At first, I thought it was freedom, saying yes when I wanted, living without rules. But it wasn't freedom. It was distraction, a way to drown out the noise that came every time I was alone. People hear the word nymphomania and think it means pleasure or fun. It doesn't. It means you're chasing quiet, just a few seconds of peace, before the thoughts come back. Most days, I function fine. I work, I smile, I take my daughter to school. But inside, I'm still trying to fill a silence that never ends. Therapists call it trauma, or hypersexuality, or coping behavior. I call it survival. When my daughter was born, everything shifted. She became my reason to keep fighting. We live week on, week off, when she's with me. I'm just mom. I cook, sing to her, fix her hair. The world feels normal for a while. But when she goes, the quiet comes back like a wave. People say I'm confident, that I seem strong, but strength doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes it just means learning how to look fine while holding everything together. I'm not fearless. I'm just someone who refuses to stay broken. I used to think strength meant never breaking down. When I was younger, I built walls so high that even I couldn't climb them. If people asked how I was, I'd say fine, always fine. Because admitting I wasn't meant explaining things no one wanted to hear. The truth is, my childhood taught me to survive by pretending. I learned to smile when I wanted to scream. I learned that silence kept me safe, and that nobody could hurt you if you didn't let them close enough. But that kind of survival doesn't disappear when you grow up. It just changes shape. In my 20s, I started confusing control with healing. I told myself that if I chose who touched me, if I said yes first, then it meant I was strong. But deep down, I knew I was still reacting, still running from the same shadows. It's strange how pain can disguise itself as power. After the accident, I never went back to the pool. I told people I didn't miss it, but I did. I missed who I was when I was swimming, focused, hopeful, pure. Without that, my days blurred together. I started chasing intensity, anything that made me feel awake again. For a while, I told myself it was just freedom, that I was living without rules. But it wasn't freedom. It was noise. There were moments that made me question everything. I'd look in the mirror and not recognize my own face. I looked confident, even happy. But behind my eyes, there was always this quiet panic, like I was watching someone else live my life. Sometimes I'd wake up next to someone and feel nothing. No guilt, no connection, just emptiness. I wasn't addicted to pleasure. I was addicted to forgetting. Therapy was hard. The first time I sat in a therapist's office, I couldn't even say the words. I laughed when I was supposed to cry. I made jokes to change the subject. I'd spent my whole life hiding behind, "I'm fine." Learning to speak honestly felt like learning a new language. One therapist told me, You confuse love with survival. At first I hated that. But she was right. Love to me always came with a warning sign, something I had to earn, something I could lose. I didn't know what it felt like to be safe. I still struggle with that. If someone's kind to me, I don't trust it. I wait for the catch. When someone says they love me, my brain translates it to, how long until they leave? It's exhausting, always being prepared for pain. But then, there's my daughter. She's the only person I let in completely. She looks at me like I'm made of light. And I don't know how to explain that I'm still learning how to shine. When she hugs me, it's the only time I feel safe. Like maybe I did something right. Being a mother, for a long time I blamed my mother for everything. I told myself she should have known. That she should have seen it. The nights I couldn't sleep, the way I flinched when someone raised their voice. How could she not see? But the truth is, she had her own darkness. She grew up broken too, just learned to hide it better. She was always chasing something. Love, freedom, peace. Maybe she was just trying to escape her own ghosts, the same way I do. Sometimes when I look at her now, I see myself. The same restlessness, the same ache, the same desperate need to pretend everything's okay. When I became a mom, I thought I'd finally understand her. But motherhood didn't come with clarity. It came with fear. Every time I look at my daughter, I feel two things at once, a love so powerful it hurts, and a fear so deep it makes me shake. I'm terrified of failing her the way I felt failed. There are days when she asks questions I don't know how to answer. Mom, why are you sad? I tell her, I'm just tired, baby. She doesn't know that I'm tired from years of pretending to be fine. But she sees me. Kids always see more than we think they do. I've started writing letters to her, ones I don't plan to give her yet. In them, I tell her everything I wish someone had told me. That pain doesn't define you, that surviving isn't the same as living, that love isn't supposed to hurt. I want her to grow up knowing what safety feels like. A few months ago, I reached out to my mom. We hadn't really talked in years. I met her at a small cafe downtown. She looked smaller than I remembered, not physically, but softer, like time had finally caught up with her. We didn't talk about the past directly, but it was there between us. She said, "You turned out stronger than I ever was." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to scream. I didn't want to be strong. But another part of me just wanted to hold her hand. Forgiveness is strange. It doesn't erase anything. It just stops the pain from owning you. Since that day, I've been trying to forgive, not just her, but myself, for the things I accepted, for the things I ignored, for all the times I confused love with survival. I still have nights when the memories come back, when the air feels too heavy and the quiet turns into an echo. But now, instead of running from it, I sit with it. Sometimes I light a candle, breathe, and whisper to myself, "You're not there anymore." Therapy has helped, but more than that, honesty has. Talking out loud, saying the things I buried for years, it changes you. You stop feeling like a secret. You start feeling like a person again. I'm learning that healing isn't about forgetting. It's about looking back and realizing you survived something that once felt impossible. Some days I still feel lost, but there's a difference now. I don't want to disappear anymore. I want to stay. I want to see my daughter grow. I want to wake up and not need to escape myself. I think that's what real healing is, wanting to. Healing doesn't happen all at once. It's not like in movies, no single moment where everything suddenly makes sense. For me, it's been a slow climb out of a deep hole. Some days I rise a few steps, some days I fall back down. But at least now, I'm climbing. I used to think I needed to erase the past to move forward. Now I know that the past isn't something you erase. It's something you learn to live beside. It doesn't leave you, but it stops controlling you. There are mornings when I wake up and feel light for no reason. I make coffee, watch the sunlight move across the wall, and realize that I'm still here, alive, breathing, steady. Those are the moments that remind me healing is quiet. It's not dramatic. It's ordinary. I've changed a lot in the last year. I don't look for validation the way I used to. I don't need someone to tell me I'm beautiful to believe that I have worth. For the first time, I'm building something that's mine: stability, peace, self-respect. My therapist once said, "Your body isn't the problem. It just learned to carry your pain." That sentence changed me. For years, I blamed my body for everything, for wanting, for reacting, for remembering. Now I'm learning to thank it instead. It survived what I thought would destroy me. I started swimming again, not competitively, just small laps in a quiet community pool. The first time I stepped into the water, my chest tightened. It felt like coming home to a version of myself I'd abandoned. The water didn't judge me. It didn't ask what I'd done. It just held me. Some nights when my daughter's asleep, I sit by her bed and watch her breathe. I think about how small I felt at her age, how scared, how voiceless. And I whisper to her, "You'll always be safe with me. I mean it every time. I'm not perfect, but I'm present." That's more than I ever had. I've also started letting people in, slowly, carefully, real friendships. People who don't want to fix me, just walk beside me. For a long time, I believed connection only came with pain. Now I know it can come with laughter too. It's strange. After years of running, I'm finally learning how to stay in my body, to stay in my feelings, to stay in the moment without needing to escape. There are still triggers. Still days I want to disappear, but I've stopped punishing myself for them. Healing isn't linear. It's messy and slow and human. I forgive myself for being a work in progress. I used to say I was broken. Now I say I'm rebuilding. I want my daughter to see that too. Not a perfect mother, but a real one. Someone who fell apart and still found a way to keep going. Because that's what strength really is. Not pretending every F. I could talk to the girl I used to be. I don't think I'd tell her to be stronger. She was already strong. I'd tell her that one day she wouldn't have to fight so hard just to feel safe, that she'd learn to breathe again without holding her breath. Sometimes I still wake up with that old heaviness in my chest, the kind that used to paralyze me. But now, instead of running from it, I sit with it. I make tea, open the window, let the morning light in. I tell myself, you made it through worse days than this one. People think healing means happiness. It doesn't. It means peace, a quiet knowing that you're okay, even when life isn't perfect. I used to crave chaos because silence felt dangerous. Now I protect my peace like it's sacred. My daughter's growing fast. She has this laugh that fills the whole house. Sometimes when she runs to me, her arms wide open, I feel something I didn't think was possible. A sense of safety that comes from being loved back. It's not the kind of love that asks for anything. It just is. And that's teaching me what love is supposed to feel like. I've stopped keeping secrets. For years I carried stories that weren't mine to carry, the kind that made me feel small. Guilty, ashamed, but shame only grows in silence. The moment you speak it out loud, it loses its power. That's why I said yes to this interview. Because maybe someone will hear this and realize they're not alone. Sometimes people message me and ask, "How did you forgive the past?" The truth is, I didn't. I just stopped letting it define who I am. Forgiveness isn't about pretending it never happened. It's about accepting that it did, and choosing not to let it poison the rest of your life. There's a part of me that will always remember the darkness. But there's another part, stronger now, that remembers the light, the sound of my daughter's laugh, the feeling of water around my body when I swim, the quiet of early morning when the world is still asleep. Those are my new memories. Those are the things I build my life around. Sometimes I look in the mirror and see the woman I've become, and for the first time, I don't flinch, I don't see damage. I see resilience. I see a survivor who decided to live. The world often tells women like me that we're too much, too emotional, too complicated, too broken. But the truth is, we're just honest. We've seen what pain can do. And we still choose love anyway. That's not brokenness. That's courage. I don't know what comes next for me. Maybe I'll go back to school. Maybe I'll move somewhere near the ocean. Place where the air feels clean again. All I know is that I want to keep living. Really living. Not just existing. Between one escape and the next. If anyone watching this feels like they're trapped, like they can't get out of their own story, you can. You just have to start by saying, I deserve better. That's how it begins. That's how it began for me. So yeah, my name's Megan. I've been through things I'll never fully explain, but I'm still here, still learning, still trying, and maybe, for now, that's enough.